In the NBA, you have to pretend that Bronny's an NBA player because otherwise you'll upset the king. Bronny, in a terrible draft, I defended as the 55th pick.
There's going to be a microscopic eye, even more intensified, on Bronny James because of his dad.
Every NBA locker room is built around an unspoken rule. Nobody has to explain it to you. The moment you walk through those doors, you already know roster spots mean everything. Only 15 players make each team, and behind every single spot are hundreds of athletes whose dreams never even got the chance to fully begin.
In the NBA, you have to pretend that Bronny's an NBA player because otherwise you'll upset the king. And remember, he is a 6'2" guard that's a non-point guard. I've never seen that existing in the current NBA. And go back 20 years. He is 1 for 16 in the NBA from the floor, 0 for 7 on threes. He's not an NBA player. He was not a great high school player. He was a good high school player. He wasn't a good college player. He was a college player. And he's not an NBA player. And he may be a great kid. I'm sure he is. LeBron's a nice guy. I've met him.
I just looked it up. League top scorers, points per game. I went through 50 and there's no Bronny James in there. He had 140-point game. Other games were 1. So now you do the math. And it's not going to be in the top 50. I don't even know who is this. Bryce McGowan, Elijah Harkles, Trey Alexander, DJ Davidson. Never heard of these kids. But they're dropping 30 a night in G League. Why is Bronny sitting on the bench?
Bronny James is trending once again, but not because of a huge performance, a viral highlight, or some inspiring development story. This time, fans started noticing something that did not feel right. And once people picked up on it, the conversation surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers and Bronny became much louder almost instantly. That is the reality of being connected to one of the most famous names basketball has ever seen. Every minute gets analyzed, every rotation, decision gets questioned, and every coaching choice gets treated like it carries a deeper meaning beyond just one game. Right now, many fans are asking the exact same uncomfortable question: why does it seem like the Lakers trust other players more than they trust Bronny James? That is where the entire situation starts becoming complicated. Because on paper, Bronny looks like he should naturally be part of the team's future conversation. He is officially in the NBA. He has a guaranteed contract. He wears a Lakers uniform. He is around the team every single night. If you only look at the branding, the roster, and the headlines, you would probably assume this is simply another young guard slowly learning how to survive in the league. But once the games actually begin, the reality starts looking much more complicated than that. And the more closely fans have watched the Lakers this season, the more they have started recognizing a pattern that is becoming harder and harder to ignore.
Bronny James, he's 7 for 28 in 4 preseason games. From the field. He's 2 for 13, I believe, from 3-point range. He's got 8 assists and 8 turnovers. He's moving into year 2. This guy is not an NBA player.
It's not about the money at that point. My point months ago was that because of who you are, one of the top 2 players in the history of basketball, in my estimation, there's an immense amount of pressure that comes with that for his son. And when he talked like that and what have you, anything that goes awry as it pertains to his son, there's going to be a microscopic eye, even more intensified, on Bronny James.
The pattern has become impossible to ignore. When the pressure rises, Bronny usually is not the player getting an opportunity. And that is what makes the situation stand out. In a league where every roster spot carries value and every coaching decision sends a message, the Lakers appear to be revealing exactly where Bronny fits in their trust system. Once fans started picking up on that, the reactions came quickly, because NBA fans understand the difference between genuine development minutes and carefully controlled garbage time minutes. They know the difference between a young player being trusted through mistakes and a young player staying on the bench until the game is already decided. And with Bronny, many people believe they are seeing the second scenario. The report points that out very clearly. When the Lakers were shorthanded, when a rotation needed help, when Luka Doncic was unavailable, when Gabe Vincent was out, when Austin Reeves was dealing with issues, and when the team desperately needed someone to step forward, Bronny still was not the first option they turned to. That may be one of the loudest messages of the entire season. Because teams try to win games usually do not hesitate to play someone they believe can genuinely help. NBA coaches are practical. They are not sentimental when the outcome matters. They trust the players they believe give them the best chance to win. That is why this story has become so fascinating. According to the source, when the Lakers had an opportunity to give Bronny meaningful minutes against the Phoenix Suns, they chose another direction instead. Other players got the call before he did. They leaned on Nick Smith Jr. before finally giving Bronny real floor time. And that decision spoke volumes without anyone needing to explain it publicly. Nick Smith Jr. is not an established superstar. He is not even a major household name. Charlotte already moved on from him before his development path was complete. There are still questions surrounding his game too. Yet in that moment, the Lakers trusted him before they trusted Bronny. That is what fans immediately noticed. It was not simply that Bronny remained on the bench. It was the timing of it. If the score is tight, the pressure is real, the team is searching for energy, and your young player still cannot crack the rotation, then the message becomes pretty obvious. Right now, he is not viewed as someone the coaching staff fully relies on. That does not mean his career is finished. It does not mean he cannot eventually become a valuable contributor. But at this stage, the Lakers are clearly not treating him like a player they trust in meaningful winning minutes. And in the NBA, trust changes everything. That is why this conversation has exploded the way it has. This is no longer just about Bronny James. It is about the importance of roster spots in a league where only 15 exist on each team. Those spots are not ceremonial. They are not reserved for storylines or headlines. They are valuable opportunities, and every single one could belong to another player chasing the exact same dream, while possibly being more ready to help a team win immediately. That is why the criticism hit so hard. Many people are now questioning whether Bronny is holding a roster spot that could have gone to a player better prepared to contribute right now.
How do you feel about the way Bronny James played?
So, it's unfair that he is there, is what I'm going to say. I think it's clear, the reason why he's there is because LeBron, has kind of made sure he's there. He's just not an NBA player. He looks, in my mind, almost worse than he was last.
That is a difficult conversation, but it is one the NBA has constantly. The source also makes another important point. Most of Bronny's minutes have not even come in meaningful pressure situations. A large portion of his playing time has arrived late in games that were already decided, when the intensity is gone and both teams are simply finishing out the clock. Those are not the moments where coaches truly discover whether a young player can survive under real pressure. Those minutes allow players to flash effort, hustle, and occasional talent, but they do not necessarily prove someone can handle a true playoff-level environment. And according to critics, even within those opportunities, Bronny has not done enough to demand a larger role. That is what keeps fueling frustration around him, when a player receives limited chances and still fails to separate himself during those moments. The conversation changes very quickly. At that point, people stop saying he simply needs more development time and start asking a much harsher question. If the opportunity appeared and he still did not stand out, then what exactly is everyone waiting for? That is the tension surrounding Bronny right now. Fans are not questioning whether he is young. Everyone understands he is young. The real question is whether the Lakers can continue dedicating a roster spot to someone who still does not appear to be part of the main competitive plan. That is where roster construction becomes extremely important. The Lakers are not a rebuilding franchise trying to slowly develop talent. They are trying to win immediately. They need depth, perimeter defense, shooting, and players capable of surviving playoff pressure. That means every roster spot is expected to serve a real purpose. Every player should fit into the team's larger competitive structure. But according to the source, Bronny currently looks more like a long-term question mark than a dependable rotational piece. And for a team operating in win-now mode, unanswered questions can become costly very fast. That is why this discussion keeps growing beyond Bronny himself. Fans are reacting not only to the stat lines, but to what the Lakers' decisions are signaling publicly. If the organization continues giving him low-pressure minutes, while other players receive opportunities in meaningful situations, then many people interpret that as proof the Lakers themselves do not fully view him as part of the trusted core rotation. That does not mean they've given up on him. It simply means they are not yet comfortable relying on him when the stakes are high. And statistically, the numbers have not helped his case either. The source highlights a difficult stretch of production, Low scoring totals, limited playmaking, and turnovers outweighing the positive flashes. Much of his production has come during games that were already decided. His shooting efficiency also falls far below what NBA teams usually expect from a guard attempting to earn a serious role. That is where the criticism becomes more concrete. It is no longer just about perception. It becomes a combination of numbers, rotation patterns, and specific timing of when he actually enters games. That combination is why so many fans feel like something unusual is happening. Some people view it as the Lakers protecting him. Others see hesitation from the coaching staff. And some believe the organization is carefully managing the entire situation because of who Bronny is and because of who his father is. That part of the story cannot be ignored either. LeBron James remains the biggest force shaping the entire conversation. As long as he is on the roster, Bronny will carry a level of attention and pressure that most young players could never imagine. Dealing with that context is real. It changes how every roster decision is viewed. It changes how every minute on the floor is analyzed. And it changes how every struggle gets framed in the public eye.
It hasn't been any improvement.
Too small of a sample size to say that he got
But you
worse.
still see the same kind of stuff, like the drive left and then get up in the air, and then on the way down trying to throw like a lob that gets stolen. His 3-point shot doesn't really look great either on the open catch and shoot.
But the source also brings up another major reality. The extra protection surrounding Bronny is not something that will last forever. LeBron James does not have an endless timeline in the league. The Lakers know that. The NBA knows that. Everyone understands that eventually this father-son chapter will come to an end. And when that happens, Bronny will no longer be viewed through the emotional lens of the story. At that point, the evaluation becomes much colder and much more direct. He will be judged the exact same way every other player is judged. And if the results continue looking the same, the questions surrounding him are only going to grow louder. That is why many fans have already moved past the emotional side of the debate and started focusing on the practical side instead. Is this roster spot truly being used in the best interest of the Lakers? Not for headlines, not for social media attention, not for the father-son narrative, but strictly for winning basketball games. That is the real discussion taking place. Because once playoff basketball begins, narratives stop matching. Marketing disappears. Legacy protection means nothing. Only winning matters. Teams need defenders who stay disciplined, guards who can knock down open shots, wings who understand their role and survive the physical intensity of meaningful games. That is why the source argues Bronny has not yet earned the level of trust required for those responsibilities. And that is not meant as a personal attack. It is simply an NBA evaluation. In this league, evaluations are brutally honest because the margins between winning and losing are extremely small. One rotation decision, one roster spot, one trusted player off the bench. Those details can determine whether a team becomes a contender or goes home early in the playoffs. Front offices understand that. Coaches understand it. Players definitely understand it. If someone is not truly helping the rotation, people around the league notice immediately. Nobody needs to publicly announce it. The playing time tells the story on its own. The substitutions tell the story. The late game decisions tell the story. And that is where Bronny's situation becomes
It's you. You know the attention you automatically are going to bring to him. So to combine that with putting him in that predicament, you're asking us not to cover the sport. That's pushing it. So when I was talking about as a father, I wasn't talking about Bronny. I was like, forget him. He's going to be all right. I believe he's going to be a good NBA player someday. I really believe in Bronny. I think he's got potential. But I was saying to LeBron, you know better because you know what we got to do. Why are you doing that? That's what I meant when I said as a father. If you have a problem, as I said, and this is why Rich Paul and I don't particularly speak much or anything like that, but I always have respect for Rich Paul. And this tip of...
That is the deeper message the source is pointing toward beneath all the criticism and statistics. The Los Angeles Lakers do not currently appear to trust Bronny James as someone who can help them win meaningful games right now. And until that changes, the pressure surrounding him is not going to disappear. That does not mean he cannot improve. It does not mean he will never grow into a legitimate NBA contributor. And it definitely does not mean opportunity is gone. Forever, many young guards take years before they fully adjust to the speed, pressure, and expectations of the league. A lot of players need time, repetition, confidence, and patience before becoming reliable pieces on winning teams. That part is completely true, but development only works when coaches trust you enough to let you learn inside meaningful basketball situations. If that trust is missing, the process becomes much more difficult. And that is exactly why fans keep noticing something unusual here. This conversation is no longer about one rough performance or one disappointing stat line. It is about a pattern that continues repeating itself. It is about who gets called into the game when those opportunities happen, and what those decisions reveal about where Bronny currently stands within the organization. That is why the discussion feels far bigger than it normally would for a second-year guard still trying to establish himself. Because in reality, it is bigger than that. It is about roster value. It is about trust. And it is about whether a guaranteed NBA roster spot is being used in the best possible way for a franchise trying to compete immediately. That is the pressure the Lakers cannot avoid. And every part of the conversation eventually circles back to the same simple question. Who actually helps you win basketball games right now? At this moment, the Lakers seem to be answering that question with other players before they answer it with Bronny's name. That is the story fans keep reacting to. That is the strange pattern people have noticed. And that is why the attention and criticism surrounding him are probably not fading anytime soon. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to subscribe for more Lakers updates, Bronny James coverage, and NBA commentary like this. And drop your opinion in the comments, because this conversation is only getting louder moving forward